2, 3. Some days I feel the wind blow, though my candle don't seem to sway.
Hello, my name's Mick. I'm here with Katie and Memo from Katie and Memo. We're here at the Never Mind Cafe in Dorrigo, where Katie and Memo just played a few songs for us. How'd it go? How do you feel?
It felt good.
It felt good.
Yeah.
I always feel like I could do better. But
Yeah, the
just need to get over
constant.
it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had some pretty great players playing with us. We had Georgie Chorley and Pete Skelton on drums. Georgie was on flugelhorn.
Flugelhorn.
Yeah.
Flugelhorn in a while.
Yeah, I'm completely converted.
Yeah, right.
From trumpet, flugelhorn is
Yeah.
where it's at.
It's like a French horn and trumpet sort of combined, which is kind of nice.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just a lot more mellow.
Yeah.
It's not so shouty.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about yourselves. Maybe we could go individually first. So maybe we'll start with Katie.
Okay.
Tell us about what's your life been like? How's music going? Tell us how you started.
It's quite a question. Well, I started playing when I was like a young teenager.
Yeah.
I'm not one of these people who started when they were 4. I probably started when I was 11.
Like Mozart. Yeah.
Yes. And my dad, Peter Crane, taught me and my brother, and we sort of weren't taught like a lot of kids were taught, which was you get a crappy nylon string and you learn how to play that, and if you practice it for a while and you commit to it, then we'll get you a good guitar.
Yeah.
So we started on awesome guitars because
Right.
he was a professional musician.
Hence
Cool.
the Gibson in the table.
On the table
Yeah.
here.
On the table,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just going to skip straight forward to this Gibson.
Excellent. Sounds great to me. Awesome.
So I'd been, because I'd learned from him, I would, grew up sort of playing blues and that sort of stuff, like, but like Robin Ford and Jimi Hendrix and all that kind of stuff. And then I sort of met other musicians my own age when I was about 14 or so. And they were into like cool music, like the Pixies and and all this kind of stuff, and Jane's Addiction and like punk and stuff. So
Cool.
in order to interact with my peers musically, I started playing that kind of music.
Yep.
So I played sort of pretty hardcore music and some indie stuff. And this guitar, my dad found this guitar in a music shop in Wollongong.
No.
And as you can see from the shape of it, it's kind of like got a big wing up out the back.
Yeah.
And it didn't suit him. And I said, "Oh, what are you talking about? That's quite comfortable, that guitar."
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
Yeah,
So he said,
interesting.
"Yeah, this is yours."
Cool.
Yeah.
Wish my dad gave me a guitar like that.
Yeah.
It's sort of similar. Are you familiar with Annie Clark, St. Vincent? There's a lady, St. Vincent, yeah. She sort of made guitars for women in the way that it's like
Oh, yes.
shaped.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
It looks very similar to one of these, which is kind of
This
nice,
for me
nice
screams
consideration.
Metallica all the way.
Yeah?
I'm
I
from
feel like, Is this? Are we segueing into your background?
well, I don't know. It's just that. But like we were just talking before, that you can play anything with this. It's such a beautiful instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I probably first love was rock. But so I'm from Argentina.
Yep.
And I am one of those kids that started when I was 6.
Cool. Yeah.
And I did like a music school, and then I went to uni, blah blah. So when I was 17, I had like a degree. It's not a proper degree, like a university degree, but it was like a degree that allowed me to teach in primary schools already. So I started doing that, and I started playing in bands. And I've played, I don't know, Latin American music, hip hop, heavy metal. When I mean Latin American music, I mean like anything from cumbia to I don't know, Brazilian popular music, and then jazz. But I didn't learn music in jazz. I learned more classical guitar and that stuff. And then I moved to Australia in 2013, I think.
Yeah.
And I lived in Melbourne for like almost 7 years.
Cool.
And then the wind just
Changed.
blew me up here, and then ended up staying in Bellingen. And I always play guitar.
Yeah.
But I always perform on electric bass. And so because there's so many guitarists. Many guitarists.
Yep.
But not so many bass players. Not so many bass players.
Yeah,
So I always I always ended up getting calls to play more bass. And recently, well, I mean not recently, but for a while, I also started playing double bass, which is
A whole new world.
oh, I hate it and I love it. It's like one of the things.
Yeah, cool.
So and yeah, it's like I've you know, like I've pretty much done only music since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And you know, work teaching, playing, recording a little bit, and blah blah. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
So you grew up playing guitar? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, so I started playing guitar when I was 10. That kind of
Okay.
like, you know, chords, whatever.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
I went into, you know, the school that I did was classical guitar.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, at home I would listen to anything. My mom had like a 200 vinyl collections.
Nice.
Yeah, so I would listen to anything.
Yeah.
And then when I started performing in bands, the first band that I played with was a band that played kind of like a fusion folk music with different rhythms from around Latin America. So we would play
Okay.
music from Chile, Brazil, Mexico, whatever, Venezuela, and Argentina. And I was playing electric bass because they needed a bass player. And that from then on, I was always on bass. But then I didn't finish uni, but I went up to third year of uni playing classical guitar.
Yeah.
And then I had to decide whether I wanted to keep my nails long to play nylon string,
Yeah.
or I wanted to keep my nails short so I
Yeah.
could play electric bass.
I'll say sometimes that freaks me out when you're like talking to someone and you look down and their nails are like super long and you're like,
Well,
guitar, yeah.
I can play guitar without nails, but
Yeah.
you can't play classical guitar
Yeah,
properly without
yeah,
nails.
yeah. You just can't hear it
it's
otherwise.
Not, it's not. You
Yeah.
can't get the sounds and the expressions that
Yeah.
it requires. It's a different thing.
We were talking earlier about you guys sort of recording in the near future, or you already have. And then we sort of segued, sorry for those at home that are just joining in on the conversation. We sort of segued into a conversation about how you guys don't play entire songs live, or you haven't played a few songs live yet. Could you sort of explain,
Yeah.
long-winded question we've got here.
Yeah.
Sort of explain to us your connection between writing music and performing. Does your performance sort of impact the way that you songwrite, or vice versa?
Yeah. So these tunes that we recorded today, so with this project, the original tunes that I've written, I've just basically written them as a format to have other really great musicians come
Yeah.
up and play really
Cool.
cool jazz solos.
Yeah, right.
I like
Great.
yeah. So I like writing lyrics
Yeah.
because I feel, you know, like most musicians, I feel very deeply all the time. And it is-
What?
not me, I'm yeah, so I'd like to get those stories out, get those
Yeah.
things out. I find it's a very therapeutic thing to do,
Yeah.
as opposed to like talking to someone about, you know, things that are going on. I find, you know, the other person, and I do this too, just wants to, you know, reciprocate with a similar story, that sort of thing. But sometimes the story just needs to come out.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's done with.
Yeah.
So that's where the lyrics come from.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is just, you know, hopefully some nice melodies and an interesting jazz chord progression so that we can get amazing musicians up to come and play with us.
Yeah, cool. Interesting. So lyrics first, or you sort of write it with what's going on in your head? Obviously
It changes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's
Yeah.
even a chord progression.
Cool.
And then I'll just pick out a melody out of the chords
Yeah.
that I've chosen.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Memo?
I haven't written much since I moved up to Bellingen, but in Argentina I play with a band. I still do when I go there, and we've recorded like 5 albums, and I play bass and I sing in there. So I can talk more about that process, I suppose. When I'm in the mood of, you know, with mindset of composing, I suppose, if you want to call it, I'm all the time trying stuff. So like it's kind of like you're not looking for it, but you're open to it. So
Yeah.
you just sit down and let it come, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah, we were sort of talking about that. Sorry.
No, yeah.
Joni Mitchell has a quote where you're always in search of the miraculous. And it's like you're sort of constantly searching for that sort of, I think most musicians that write songs know the feeling that I'm sort of talking about right now.
Yeah.
Does that sometimes come when you guys are jamming together?
Yeah.
Or?
I had actually, to be honest, I had only a few moments. I don't know you, Katie, but a few moments where I'm like, I wrote something and I felt that's it. I got one example, which is like one song with this band.
Yeah.
And one time I was before going to bed, and I just felt very, I don't know, sad, I suppose, melancholic or whatever. So I wrote non-stop, like from the top to the bottom, the way I feel it, sort of like, trying to make it sound poetic, but not really, not even thinking about a song or anything. I finished it and I went to bed.
Yeah.
The next day, the drummer from the band goes, "Hey, I have these chords. I don't have any lyrics." And I was like, "Well, I did this last night. Just use whatever you want."
Yeah.
And he basically put the lyrics on top of his song.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
it fit. And I was like, it's never been that easy.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
Usually, my experience is I have to work a lot until I feel that I'm comfortable, especially with the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also need space. Like I need to do it and let it sit.
Yeah.
Like a good wine. Not that I drink
Yeah.
wine, but like I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Well, it's hard to write about something when it's happening at the now. I find it's much easier to write after something has happened.
Yeah.
And then once you've had that down, let it sit for a while to see if it's actually anything good.
anything, yeah. Well, like I don't know. Like a lot of people sometimes just like write on demand. It's like, well, I need to make an album, whatever. I don't know. And they just sit down and in 10 days they write 10 songs, and I'm like,
That's insane. Yeah.
I don't know how you do that, but maybe it's a different mindset. Like I said, I write, we write music in between, family, work, gigs.
Yeah. You mean you're not
life.
doing music all the time?
Yeah.
What? Unbelievable. Speaking of, where can we see you guys play?
Yeah.
Well, as of next Wednesday, we've got a weekly gig. It's a jazz gig, and we're always trying new stuff.
Yeah.
And it's at Steph & Co.
Steph &
which
Co,
is
yeah.
at the Esplanade in Coffs Harbour.
Yeah.
Beautiful Coffs Harbour.
And then we play there's a couple of always places around. Like we play at these guys have another bar called Beach Town, and we play sometimes we do the little cafe in Uranga. That she's great because she's always putting music on Sundays.
Cool.
But I think maybe you could tell the story of how we started playing. What was the main reason? Because we didn't start like, okay, let's have a band together.
Yeah.
It was more
Yeah. I have another band called Wild Thyme, which is a THYME, like the herb.
Yeah.
And it's very
Thyme.
different music to
Yeah.
this. Yep. Thyme. The mare. And the bass player was away because she was on tour with something else. Actually, it was might have been a Joni Mitchell tribute band.
Cool.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There you go. And so Memo got the call to fill in, and at the end of the gig he goes, "Hey, that was fun. Let's play together."
Yeah.
So it took us a while to actually get it together, but we
Standard
decided.
musicians.
not the best.
Shocking. We decided to have some jam sessions where it will be a mutual learning experience for both of us,
Cool.
without necessarily even the view of gigging.
Yeah.
So we did that, and we just kept practicing and playing, and
So I think we got better at playing jazz. Oh, let's go with that anyway. That's what we like to say.
definitely better.
But what happened also, I think, naturally, I think some musicians feel more inclined always to do original music.
Yeah.
Some musicians feel always more inclined to not do that and actually, work on their craft and play someone else's music.
Yeah.
And I feel like we both are more of the first kind. Like I love to play jazz,
Yeah.
but I love even more to write my own tunes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whatever style they will be.
Yeah.
So I
Cool.
think we started exploring that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to have to wrap it up here, guys.
Yeah,
But
that's
thanks for
right.
chatting with us.
Thanks for
Again,
having
with
us.
Thank you.
Katie and Memo, my name's
Thanks.
Mick. Thank you very much. See you later.
Soda pop can stars